Have you ever been in a room where someone barely said a word, yet everyone noticed them? Not because of what they said, but because of how they sat, how they looked, how they didn't need to say anything at all. It's not charisma. It's not extroversion. It's the power of being focused, silent, and dangerous. That kind of presence doesn't beg for attention, it commands it. You might think, but if I'm quiet, people will ignore me. And maybe that's what the world made you believe, that you need to talk more, be more social, be louder, smile wider. So you started pretending, playing a role just to be seen, and somewhere along the way, you forgot how strong silence can be. But here's what they never told you. The most intimidating man in any room is the one who doesn't need to prove anything. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't over-explain. He watches, he listens, he thinks. That man doesn't speak unless it matters. That man doesn't react unless it's necessary. That man is dangerous, but not in a loud way, in a calm, calculated, quiet way. And here's the truth, no one's putting in words. Being silent doesn't make you weak. It makes you unreadable. And that's what makes you powerful. When people can't read you, they can't control you. When you're unpredictable, they become cautious. And when you're silent, they overthink. Most people talk to prove they know. The wise stay quiet to observe who doesn't. If you've ever felt invisible for being silent, this video is for you, because maybe what you've been calling a weakness is actually your greatest weapon. They don't understand why you're quiet. They think it's because you're shy or insecure. They assume you're weak because you don't talk like they do, because you don't laugh too loud, because you don't interrupt or demand attention. But the truth is, silence isn't a lack of confidence. It's a presence. A sharp, still presence that can shake the room without making a sound. Most people speak because they fear the silence, but when you own the silence, you become untouchable. Think about it. The man who speaks little moves deliberately and listens deeply. He's not just quiet. He's reading everything, calculating, deciding, and that makes people nervous. They try to guess what you're thinking. They overanalyze every look, every gesture, every pause, and in that uncertainty you hold the power. Most of the world runs on noise, but the ones who change the world move in silence. It's not about hiding, it's about preparing. They think you're passive, but you're patient. They think you're distant, but you're dialed in. They think you're nothing, but you're becoming something. And what's dangerous is what no one sees coming. You don't waste your energy trying to be understood. You focus on becoming undeniable. You let your results speak, your progress speak, your presence speak. The strongest men aren't loud, they're focused. They're silent because they know the value of every word. They're dangerous because they've mastered restraint, and that's the man the world never sees until it's too late. They say still waters run deep, but no one tells you what happens when those waters decide to move. You've seen it. The person who barely speaks, who doesn't interrupt, who watches everything. People think they're harmless until one day they move decisively, and suddenly everyone realizes they weren't sleeping, they were calculating. Silence creates pressure, and pressure creates impact. What you don't see coming always hits hardest, because noise warns you. Silence never does. Think of every storm. There's always silence before it hits. That moment where the world seems still, but it's not peace. It's the warning, the build-up, the danger. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet won't tell you they're strong. They'll just act like they're listening, but in their mind, they're studying every weakness, every opportunity, every pattern. And when they finally act, they don't need second chances. They don't shout, they strike. And that's why silence terrifies the ones who understand power. So the next time someone says, "You should speak more," ask yourself, what if saying nothing is how you win? If you're the kind of person who moves in silence, this channel was built for you. Subscribe and stay, because the next move is yours. You want to know what makes someone dangerous? It's not their fists, not their voice. It's their ability to wait quietly, patiently, watching the room, letting everyone else reveal themselves. The loud ones always go first. They rush in, seeking validation. They speak before thinking. They act before planning. And when things collapse, they're the first to be seen and the first to fall. But the focused one, the silent one, they sit back, not out of fear, but precision, because they've learned something most never do. Real strength is invisible until it's not. When they enter a conversation, they measure every word. When they make a decision, it's final. When they take a step forward, it's already calculated 10 moves ahead. That's not just intelligence, that's discipline. And discipline is what gives silence its danger. Most people don't realize this because they're too busy trying to prove something. But the most powerful person in the room has nothing to prove. That's why they don't say much. You won't see them flaunt their ideas. They'll let others talk, let them compete for attention, all while they gather leverage. Because every second you speak without thinking, they're thinking without speaking. And when the moment comes, they don't fight for attention. They become impossible to ignore. There's something terrifying about a man who says little, moves slow, and listens more than he speaks. Not because he's weak, but because you can't read him. He's unreadable, and what you can't read, you can't predict. He doesn't chase noise, he follows patterns. He doesn't argue, he observes. And when everyone's distracted, he's focused. This is the kind of man who doesn't interrupt chaos. He lets it destroy itself. And when the dust settles, he's still standing. You see, most people are addicted to noise, loud opinions, quick reactions, instant responses. They think speaking louder makes them right. But power doesn't shout. Power whispers and still wins. Danger isn't found in chaos. It's in the calm that follows it. This is why the silent ones are feared. They don't show emotion. They don't explain themselves. They don't overshare. Because every piece of information you give away is a weapon that can be used against you. They've learned this the hard way. Maybe they were once loud too. Maybe they trusted too fast, spoke too much, opened up too easily, and maybe they paid the price. But now, they've gone quiet, not because they're scared, but because they've become dangerous. And that danger, it's not in what they say, it's in what they choose not to say. The most dangerous version of you is the one that nobody sees coming, the one that trains in silence, grows in private, and strikes only when necessary. You're not loud, but your presence shifts the room. You're not reactive, but your stillness is louder than their noise. You're not showing off power. You've become power. The moment you stopped explaining yourself, the moment you stopped reacting to every opinion, you became unpredictable. And unpredictability is power. You're not ignoring the world. You're just building something so strong, so centered, so unshakable, that one day the world will have no choice but to turn and ask, where did this come from? But by then, it'll be too late. You'll already be miles ahead. So if you've ever felt like silence made you weak, remember this: silence isn't weakness. Silence is strategy. And right now, it's making you unstoppable. Now let me ask you this: what would happen if you finally embraced the quiet? If you stop chasing noise and let them wonder what you're becoming? Because sometimes what you don't say is the loudest thing they hear. If you're the kind of person who's been hiding in plain sight, building in silence and waiting for your moment, make sure you're here for the next one. It's coming. And when it does, I want you ready.